Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel, and today I'm going to be doing the This or That Romance book tag. So this is a really fun tag. I had so much fun watching my friend Cami's video of doing this tag. I will have her link down below, but basically this is a romance tag video where you answer questions about your romance preferences. I think it's a really fun way to get to know someone's reading taste a little bit more and also kind of see what your own reading tastes are. I looked at some of these questions and I was like, God, I don't really know. I've never really thought about that, what I prefer. So I'm really excited to do this. Romance is my favorite genre along with fantasy. I can't pick between the two, but I love both of those genres so much. I have only been reading romance consistently for like the past year and a half, I would say. But now it is like everything to me. I love reading about love. I love reading about people going on emotional journeys with their partners. Like it means so much to me. So I want to do this tag. I thought it would be very fun. You guys can kind of just see what my romance preferences are. And also feel free to answer these questions down in the comments below. I will go ahead and put the questions in the description box below, so I would love to hear your guys' answers as well. Okay, so first question of the This or That romance tag is cliffhanger or happily ever after. I am 150% a happily ever after type of girl. I don't know who would pick a cliffhanger. I would do a cliffhanger for like any other genre except for romance. I really like the consistency of happily ever afters in romances. I know it's obviously very predictable, but I like my characters to kind of go through it, but then be happy at the end. So I'm 100% somebody who expects a happily ever after. I think it's very satisfying and I just want my characters to get what they want. The next question is hardcover or paperback? 100% paperback for romance. I do not like romances in hardcover. I don't know why, but it feels wrong. I love hardcovers for fantasies, and it's crazy because I used to be someone who so preferred hardcovers, but the more and more I read, the more I prefer paperbacks, and I'm even starting to like not really care as much about having certain fantasies in hardcover. So I'm a paperback person 100%, and especially for romance. I have no idea why, but getting a romance in a hardcover just feels wrong. It feels illegal. So paperback all the way. The next This or That question is angsty or cute? I want angsty, 100%. Angsty is everything. I want angst. I want tension. Cute romances can be fun. They can be light and fluffy, but overall, I really like the emotional payoff of a very angsty and tension-filled romance. So for me, it's always going to be angst because I think that the payoff is so much greater. The next question is Booktok or Bookstagram? I really prefer Bookstagram. I will say I have received some good recommendations via Booktok, and Booktok is just like this whole other animal that I do enjoy sort of lurking in, but overall I do really prefer Bookstagram. The reason why is I feel like Bookstagram has a way larger array of recommendations. Bookstagram, I feel like I get so many new books recommended to me, books that I have never heard of before. I usually end up finding on Bookstagram, and sometimes I'll find brand new favorites that way. So I have only been on Bookstagram for like 4 months, but it's been fantastic, and that's how I found like Magnolia Parks via Lachlan, and I've just found a lot of really great romances that way. So definitely Bookstagram 100%. The next question is people or object covers? I am going to say definitely object covers. I really don't like people on the covers. I know that there's like this great debate about romance covers having people on them, and some people think it's like terrible. Other people are like, no, it's totally fine. Like, don't worry about it. I just don't like literal photographs of people on my book covers. I'm never going to like it. I like art renderings of people. You know, I like fan art as book covers. Like, I'm okay with that, but so many romance books come with just literal male models on the cover. It's not something that I personally enjoy. A big love of mine other than reading is collecting books, and I just don't find those books like very aesthetic and fun to collect. So I'm always going to prefer an object or a cartoon cover over people on the cover. The next question is new release or backlist. This one's hard because it's both, I want to say. As I said, I've been reading romance for maybe like a year and a half, maybe even a little bit less than that consistently. So I am somebody who is really playing catch up. There's a lot of romances that I want to read that were really popular like 5 or 6 years ago, and I have them on my TBR. But at the same time, I also really like to keep up to date with new releases because I just like to keep on the pulse of what is coming out. This is one that is really hard to pick. I'm probably gonna say new release though. If I have to pick one, I'm not gonna go 50-50 on this. If I have to pick one, I will say new release because I just get excited about what is new and fresh coming out, what are authors writing today, and I'm always excited about that. So I guess I will say new releases. Next question is TBR or free-for-all? Free-for-all, absolutely. I have such a problem sticking to my TBR. It honestly makes me feel very locked in and I don't like it. It's hard because sometimes at the beginning of the month, I will be in the mood for certain books, but then a couple weeks later, I might feel differently or another book might catch my eye. So I'm somebody who likes to set a tentative TBR and kind of just map out these are books that I'm feeling right now, but that is very much subject to change. Especially with romances, if there are certain tropes that I'm in the mood for, or just certain situations that I'm in the mood for, or certain subgenres that I am in the mood for, I will definitely just do a free-for-all, and whatever romance catches my eye at the time, I will be reading it. Okay, the next question is funny how it's worded. Open door or fade to black? Open door. I think this is like a very personal question. It's a very personal preference, and like whatever works for you works for you. This works for me. I am somebody who I really like open door policy, if you will, in romances. I think that it is really fun to watch a couple build their relationship, have angst and tension, go from enemies to lovers or friends to lovers or whatever the situation is, and then there is sort of that gratification at some point in the book. I'm definitely somebody who prefers open door. The next question is audiobooks or physical? This is hard because when it comes to romance, I can definitely just do physical. I feel like most romances aren't very long. They're usually in like the 300 to 400 page range. So I don't really find that I have to use an audiobook. Just for like comparison, you know, more epic fantasies, I definitely like to have an audiobook with me just so I can kind of listen to that while I read along. But what is nice about romances is they're usually pretty straightforward, not super complicated world building or anything like that. So I think I generally like just reading the book without an audiobook, but if I happen to have one, I won't say no to it. The next question is Kindle or nah? So Kindle or just like reading with actual physical books. This one too, I don't really have a preference. I would say like, think if it's like traditionally published, you know, if I can get my hands on a physical copy of the book, I will pick it up. If it's a romance that I'm kind of taking a jump on, like if I don't really know if I'm going to like it, like a dark romance or just a romance with tropes or a subgenre of romance that I've never read, I will usually try to get it on my Kindle just so that I feel like I'm not committing to it as much. But if it's a very highly anticipated release for me, if it's a book by an author that I love, if it has tropes that I'm really excited about, if I can get my hands on a physical copy, I will absolutely do it. The next question is buddy read or fly solo? Okay, so I kind of like a combination of the two. I love buddy reading. I buddy read books all the time. Like me and my friends are always like, someone will just mention a book and we'll be like, oh, I'll buddy read that with you. And then we just do it. So I think pretty much every single month, I am always buddy reading something with somebody. But I like the type of buddy read that is very low pressure. I don't like to do, we finish 100 pages this day, then 100 pages the next day, and then the next 100 pages the next day. I like to do, hey, we're both gonna read this book in the month of September and we'll talk about it as we read it, and like if you happen to finish it first, that's okay. If you fly through it and I'm struggling through it, that's okay. We'll talk about it when we want to talk about it. I just like to have like that journey with my friend, but I don't want anyone to feel forced to read a certain amount of pages per day, because then I just feel like it kind of becomes like homework. So I like to do buddy reads for sure. I buddy read all the time, but I really do prefer to let myself and whoever I'm buddy reading with go at their own pace. The next question of the this or that romance tag is small town or dark romance. This also kind of just depends. I'm going to say overall though, I prefer small town. I've read a few dark romances and I've really only liked one or two. I don't think I'm a major dark romance person, but I know it's a super popular, very well loved genre, and for good reason. But I think I'm just somebody who prefers small town. I like the simplicity, I like the sweet moments, so I think I do gravitate towards small town a little bit more than dark romance, but I'm not opposed to it. The next question is alpha or sweetheart hero. This is another one that it's like, it really depends on the context. I think an alpha hero can be fun in like a fantasy romance. I'm not like super crazy about the overbearing, dominating guy in like a contemporary romance. Like to me, when it's like a small town romance or like an office place romance and the guy is like an alpha, I'm kind of like, okay. But in fantasy romance, I think it's great because it's fantasy. Usually, I don't know, maybe they'll be fae. Like I'm all about it in those situations. I think it just depends. I think it depends on how they're written, and if they're not like complete jerks, I don't mind. But then at the same time, I like a sweetheart hero, but sometimes I don't. Like sometimes I don't think they're well written, and I don't think that they really stand on their own, and they're not very fun to read about. So it really just depends on the writing and the story and the setting. But I would love, I just have to say, I just need to put this pitch in. I would like something somewhere in the middle. Like for a contemporary romance, I would just love like a normcore hottie. You know what I mean? Like maybe he's a software engineer, maybe he's athletic, he's not a jerk, he's not super duper nice, he's just like cool and is friends with the girl, but then like he's kind of an alpha when it becomes important, if you know what I mean. I don't know. I would love normcore hottie love interests in a contemporary romance. Like not quite an alpha, but not quite like this super, super sweet softie. Somewhere in the middle. I think that would be very fun. Somebody, if you have a book recommendation that has that type of guy, if that makes sense at all, let me know, because I just feel like we have so many alphas and then so many sweethearts, and I want something in the middle. I want something a little bit different. So I would like that. Normcore hotties all the way. The next question is multiple books or one at a time? I generally am a multiple books at a time person. I usually will get, maybe 100 pages into this book, then 100 pages into that book. And I usually like to decipher this in my brain by having maybe one book in audio, another book in physical, another on my Kindle. I think that that really helps me separate it out. I don't think that I could read very, very similar book premises at the same time. Like I don't think that I could read A Hating Game and Shipped at the same time, because like those have very similar premises. If they are different enough, my brain is able to kind of just separate it out, but definitely multiple books because I think it just helps me get books done faster. The next question is Baddie or Damsel in Distress? Baddie for sure. Like I think that Damsel in Distress stories, like they can be cute, I suppose. I'm just not really interested in reading it personally. I like a female main character that can stand on their own, and even if their love interest does come in and save them during some of it, I still like a female main character that is going to be strong and not rely on anyone, just because I find the damsel in distress character that I can't really relate to. I do like the relatability of somebody who just like owns their stuff, is able to save themselves, maybe they're even able to save their love interest. I'm always gonna root for the baddies. And the final question of the this or that romance tag is slow burn or Instalove? Slow burn. Slow burn. I would love to meet the person who chooses Instalove. Like why? What is the point? For me, it has to be a slow burn. Otherwise, like I'm not interested. I don't care. I don't want to read about people who meet in the first like 20 or 30 pages and they're already into each other. Like I don't like that. I like slow burn. Even if it's friends to lovers, enemies to lovers, whatever the situation is, I like a very slow trickling burn, because I just think that you get to build up each of the characters. You get to know them individually as well. You get to see them slowly transform from whatever they were before into a couple, which is the best part of reading a romance. And it's just so much more gratifying at the end. I don't like Instalove. Honestly, if I hear a book is Instalove, I immediately remove it from my TBR. So slow burn all the way. All right, everyone. So that is going to be it for my this or that romance tag. I think that this tag is so much fun. As I said in the beginning, I would love to hear your answers to these questions. I will have them linked down in the description, and let me know, what do you prefer when it comes to romances? If you made it to this point in the video and you wanted to let me know, go ahead and leave the pink heart down in the comments. As always, my Instagram and my Goodreads are linked down below. You are welcome to follow me on there at any time. I really, really appreciate that you watched this video. I hope that you are having a fantastic day, and I will catch you guys in the next one.